Hello, everybody, and welcome to Theology 101. Today we are going to look at the book of Obadiah. The book of Obadiah is the 31st book of the Old Testament. The Hebrew Bible has three sections: the law, prophets, and writings. The law contains the first 5 books of the Old Testament. The prophets is made up of 8 books divided into the former prophets and the latter prophets. The latter prophets include Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and the 12 minor prophets. The writings consist of religious poetry and wisdom literature. Obadiah is part of the 12 minor prophets section of the Old Testament. Now, when I say a book is considered a minor prophet, I am not referring to its importance, but to its length. In other words, the 12 books called the minor prophets are shorter than the major prophets. Obadiah is the shortest book in the Old Testament, and this book is unique, like Nahum, in that it's a judgment pronounced on another nation who oppressed Judah. Obadiah is God's judgment against Edom. But there's a difference in how Edom oppressed Judah compared to Babylon. While Babylon destroyed Jerusalem and enslaved Judah, Edom oppressed Judah by profiting off Babylon's slave trade. Even though Edom was not the main oppressor of Judah, they were silent bystanders who turned a blind eye to profit monetarily. So let me give you the historical backdrop of this book. Obadiah most likely gave this sermon to Judah after the temple was destroyed by the Babylonians in 586 BC. Although it was the Babylonians who invaded and destroyed Jerusalem, Obadiah tells Judah that God has not forgotten how Edom contributed to their destruction. So Obadiah says that God will make Edom fall as a nation, which eventually happened around 500 BC. So this means that Obadiah gave this sermon between 587 BC to 500 BC. So what did Edom do that deserved God's judgment? During the Babylonian conquest, Edom helped capture fleeing Israelites and turn them over to the Babylonians. They were paid by the Babylonians for every refugee they captured and returned to Babylon. This angered God not just because it was evil, but because of Edom's connection with Judah. You see, Edomites were ethnically related with Judah. They were distant cousins. If you remember, Edomites were descendants of Esau, and Esau was the twin brother of Jacob. Jacob was the forefather of Israel, so Edomites and Israelites were related by blood and often called brothers in the Old Testament. Even though they were brothers, they had a lot of tension. We see this tension even from the story of Jacob and Esau. God wanted the blessings to follow Jacob, but Isaac favored Esau. So Rebekah helps Jacob steal Esau's blessing, which then led to Esau wanting to kill Jacob. This tension continued throughout Edom's and Israel's relationship. For example, Edom denied Israel's request to pass through their land on their way from Egypt to the Promised Land. Later, King Saul fought against Edom, and King David eventually conquered them. Judah, under King Amaziah, retook Edom with great violence, and so Edom responded by raiding Judah and taking captives. Later, during the reign of Zedekiah, the king of Judah in 594 BC, Edom joined Judah to fight the Babylonians. They even had a peace treaty, but we see that Edom betrayed Judah by helping the Babylonians overtake Jerusalem because they chose money over helping their brothers. This is the event that Obadiah comments on, and is the event that will eventually lead to Edom's downfall as a nation. Now, Obadiah's message is split into 2 stages. First, Judah was assured of God's judgment against Edom. Then second, beginning in verse 15, Obadiah zooms out and says that God will judge all nations in the day of the Lord. The way they treated others will be how God will treat them in this future day of the Lord. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the nations. As you have done, it shall be done to you. Your deeds shall return on your own head. So Obadiah ends his message with hope for not only Judah, but all victims of injustice. Now, one of the main themes of this book is God's sovereignty. You see, the reason why Judah and others who have suffered can hope in God is because of his sovereignty. God's sovereignty includes using humans to carry out his plans for judgment and blessing. God is the one who controls history and events, even if people are unaware of it. You see, if God is not sovereign, then what hope do people have against oppression, violence, and injustice today? If we don't have a God powerful enough to intervene on our behalf, then what power do we have to defend ourselves and others? Nations may create chaos by mistreating God's people, but the day of the Lord will come and set things right. I'm sure that during this time, the other nations were looking at Judah as some weak nation that is constantly at the mercy of of other empires. During this culture, nations believed their power or weakness was directly attributed to their gods. So Judah's weakness reflected poorly on Yahweh. Other nations assumed that Yahweh was weaker than their gods since Yahweh could not protect Judah from foreign empires. So Obadiah corrects this false assumption by declaring God as sovereign over not only Judah, but also other nations who do not submit to him. No matter how much wealth Edom acquired through capturing Judean refugees, their wealth would not protect them from God. And the way God would judge them is by gathering other nations together to conspire against Edom. This world event was not a coincidence, but planned by a sovereign God who is bringing justice for his people. The final picture in the book of Obadiah is God's kingdom. This kingdom will vindicate his people, establish his theocracy, and all the land acquired by Edom and other nations will be under the control of God himself. In this kingdom, God will reign from Jerusalem, the very city that was pillaged and destroyed by the Babylonians. In other words, everything will be changed one day. Judah will no longer be the laughingstock of the world. Yahweh will no longer be mocked. God's people will no longer live as refugees and slaves in Babylon. God will have the last laugh. Edom, Babylon, and all other nations who oppose God will be judged. So here's the lesson we should learn from this book. The issue is not whether God is on our side. The issue is whether we are on God's side. The issue is whether we are God's blessing to others or exploiting others for personal gain. God does not blindly bless a certain nation. He did not even bless Israel all the time, even though they were his chosen nation. Instead, God has a kingdom plan that will not be stopped, and his kingdom plan includes the judgment of all oppressive nations, the rescue of all victims, the destruction of all world systems of evil, and the establishment of his justice and peace forever through the reign of King Jesus on earth. Thank you to today's sponsor, On Reverence. They offer a free digital worship music app called Maskil. If you want to find out more, I'll leave some links below in the description box. If you missed the last video about the book of Amos, I'll leave a link here for you to watch. And until next time, see you.